If you've done any work on the Last Supper, if you've done any work on the Eucharistic words of Jesus, as they are commonly called within scholarship, you will have read this book because it is the standard, and everyone has to interact with it to do work on the subject. This is on page 62 under the title Objections. It's number 1. Okay, he says, ever since a short study by J. Wellhausen appeared in 1906, it has been frequently contended that the Last Supper could not have been a Passover meal because Mark 14:22 speaks of bread, artos, whereas only unleavened bread, azma, could properly be used in describing a Passover meal. So exactly the objection that we have here. Okay, so let me skip just a little bit. As a matter of fact, the contention that unleavened bread cannot be called bread is incorrect, quite apart from the possibility of mere inaccuracy in the report when Mark 14:22 and following speaks of bread, or from the fact that the Eucharistic practice of the earliest churches which used ordinary leavened bread might have led to some inaccuracy of expression. It has been stated that the words lechem and artos could be used of both leavened and unleavened bread. We see this from the biblical text as well. It can further be shown that it was quite the common practice to call unleavened bread simply bread, lechem or artos. Decisive proof of this, in view of the extraordinary abundance of testimony, is the description of the 12 loaves of showbread which were arranged on their special table in the sanctuary of the temple. We know for certain that the showbread was unleavened. Yeah, a fact not mentioned probably by accident in the Old Testament, but reported unanimously by Philo, Josephus, and the Talmud. So I will not keep going. He writes two more pages on this, showing abundant proof from the first century writings that bread is oftentimes titled artos. Beyond this, even in our... Now, I don't want you to think that I'm associating one or the other. But because it would be horrifically anachronistic for us to say that something today could shed light on something in the first century. However, what I will say is this: even in today's Seder, what do you say? In the Passover Seder today, they say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, King of the universe, who brings forth bread from the earth. Why? Because bread, lechem or artos, is a reference to all bread. Not only all bread, but it's a reference also to all food. So you could translate that, blessed are you, Adonai, our God, King of the universe, who brings forth bread from the earth. Or you could also translate it, blessed are you, Adonai, our God, King of the universe, who brings forth food from the earth. The notion that this somehow would say that the writers of the first century got this wrong, that they, it was a Passover and they accidentally used the word artos or something like that, it simply does not line up with the fact that artos is used throughout the first century to refer to both bread and unleavened bread. And we see this as far back as the Torah. Rob?
This is a great example of people who have like a gotcha verse mentality and they pounce on it. Like, oh, artos, they look it up.
I don't think Susie's trying to do that, by the way.
No, I get that. Oh, totally. Not at all. I mean, like the other people we've talked about who advance this. It's like they have this flag and they run up the hill and then they realize it's like, oh, it's a cliff.
I don't think they've realized.
Just fall over the cliff.
I think that a lot of people who push this are still, and just a quick search online will show you that this is still an argument that is being used by people today to try to say that the Passover or that the Last Supper was not a Passover meal. Keep going.
Yeah, so but it's pretty easy to remember. So thank you, Susie, for the message. It's a fair question, even though, like we've talked about, people are wrongly advocating it. Just for your own equipment, the Septuagint when God gives the manna in Exodus 16, it's just called artos. The manna is called artos. Moses says God's given you artos from heaven to eat. Okay, so it doesn't mean it was loaves of leavened bread, right?
He's just throwing down bakery loaves.
The bread of the lechem panim, the bread of the presence, like Caleb cited there, is called artos. And then also Deuteronomy 16, verse 3, I think, it's that unleavened bread is literally called artos of affliction.
Thank you so much for watching this video. Tell us your thoughts on this subject by leaving a comment in the comment section. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and enable those notifications. And we'll see you in the next video.